minutes. Chairman Powell, in March, you confirmed to me that the Federal Reserve is a consensus organization built on garnering broad support before agreeing to any proposal. And given the breadth and scope of the potential changes to the capital framework that is under review right now, that consensus-driven approach seems to be all the more important. I am concerned that the Vice Chairman for Supervision is seemingly been given far too much latitude to act unilaterally, and especially in light of Section 1107A1 of the Dodd-Frank Act, which provides the Vice Chairman for Supervision authority only to develop recommendations for the board and oversee supervision and regulation. Can you speak to the process that's underway? Is the Vice Chairman acting unilaterally, or is that a wrong characterization? And if so, if it's just a recommendation, can you walk through the steps that the board will take from recommendation to a vote?
Sure. So I think what you see is very much the way the statute works, which is that the Vice Chair for Supervision has the responsibility, the obligation to develop regulatory proposals for the board that will be considered by the full board. He's, as I mentioned before in another context, he's not the comptroller of the currency. He brings proposals to the board, and the board votes by majority vote to support them or not. And that's how that works. In terms of supervision,
is he including other members of the board currently as he's?
So I think all of us have been getting briefings on what's developed, but ultimately the job is to present something to the board for consideration by the board.
And how long will that, once he presents his recommendations, how long will there be debate, deliberation, and is that transparent for the public?
There will be a meeting, it could be a virtual meeting this summer to vote on these things. In the meantime, there's a lot of conversation going back and forth now, and we're sort of in that process now, but things are still moving around.
Our concern, Mr. Chairman, is that it seems like right now the Vice Chairman is writing personalized assessments of bank failures and results of new Fed climate scenario experiments without a whole lot of collaboration with other governors. And so, given that this new scheme could raise capital requirements by as much as 20% in an already well-capitalized banking system, and that the cost of such changes could be $100 billion or more in lost GDP, I am concerned with your testimony that this would only be a virtual vote. Shouldn't this be a more transparent public board meeting and a deliberative process that includes all members of the board?
It's really just a question of calendars and when will people be. It's the summer, but that's something we haven't decided what form the meeting would take. Would it be virtual?
Well, given that it's a pretty big decision, and that the law requires the full board to make this decision and not one board member to act unilaterally, we would hope that the Fed would hold public meetings on the new proposal. Will you and the Federal Reserve Board commit also, when the proposal is voted on, to also include your economic analysis that would justify whatever capital changes are made in a quantitative form?
I don't know that. I'm not sure we'll have exactly what you're looking for, but we'll create a public record that supports the proposal, whatever it turns out to be, and the votes will be what they are, and it'll be subject to public comment and analysis, no doubt.
Well, in order for the notice and comment period to be meaningful, I think market participants will need to understand on a quantitative basis what the justification is for additional capital requirements, if in fact that's what the proposal is, given the fact that we already have a very well-capitalized system. I don't have much time left, but will you also commit to proposing appropriately tailored regulatory requirements based on the complexity and size of the financial institution?
So I will commit to supporting that. I can't commit to what the final product will be or what the vote will be, but as I mentioned at the outset, I do think we benefit hugely from a very diverse banking system, and I wouldn't want to do anything to jeopardize that.
Finally, earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal published an article that stated that, unlike your predecessors, you have not focused on fiscal responsibility. Would you like to correct the record regarding that?
I would, thank you very much. So it was just an op-ed, but it was factually incorrect. I mean, there are countless times, and you've heard me do this, I've said the same thing that my predecessors have said, which is that the United States federal budget is on an unsustainable path, which means that the debt is growing faster than the economy, and that we're going to need to fix this, and sooner is better than later.
Time is expired. Thank you. And the gentleman from